The river was thick with mist. It lay like a soft white muffler on the water between the trees, hiding the mud banks in the lower woods. Above, where the cluster of old barns stood on the edge of the fields, brilliant sunshine touched gold into the autumnal leaves, still holding some of the warmth of summer. Zoe Lloyd was standing at the kitchen sink of the oldest, and to her mind the most beautiful of the 3 barn conversions, gazing out of the window down through the trees towards the river. She shivered. The room had grown suddenly cold in spite of the sunlight. A huge sail had appeared, hazy in the fog, sailing slowly upriver towards Woodbridge. It was curved, cross-rigged, straining before the wind, decorated with some sort of image. She couldn't quite see it behind the trees. She watched for several seconds. There was no wind, surely. It had to be moving under power. If she were outside, she would probably be able to hear the steady purr of an engine. She gazed at the trees, which were motionless, and then back at the sail. The mist was thickening, wrapping itself ever more densely over the river. In a moment, the vessel would be out of sight. "It's there again! The Viking ship! Look, Ken!" she said over her shoulder to her husband. There was no reply, and she turned with a sudden stab of panic. The kitchen was empty. But she had heard him seconds before, felt him, sensed him behind her, sitting at the table in the sunshine. She looked at the empty chair, the unopened newspaper, and she groped with shaking hands for her phone. "Ken? Where are you?"
"Still down here on the boat." The voice broke up with a crackle. "Did you want something special?"
"No." For a moment she wondered if she were going mad. "Ken, did you see it? The Viking ship going upriver. It must have gone right past you."
"I didn't see anything. The fog is thick as porridge down here on the water."
"OK. Don't worry, see you soon." She switched off the phone and slowly put it down. Of course he hadn't seen anything. Out on their boat on the mooring, with his head no doubt down in the engine compartment as he tinkered with the motor, he wouldn't have seen or heard the entire 7th Fleet. Glancing out, she saw that the sail had gone. Rays of sunlight were slowly breaking up the mist. Her momentary panic was subsiding. It was a couple of minutes later, as she hung up the dishcloth and turned to walk into the high-beamed living space, which formed the greater part of the building, that she paused and looked back into the kitchen, which had been constructed in what had once been the side aisle of the barn. The house was empty. There was no one there. If Ken had not been sitting in the chair at the table behind her, who had? It was barely 3 months since they had moved into the barn conversion overlooking the River Deben in Suffolk. Part of a group of medieval barns, theirs, somewhat prosaically known as the Old Barn, was the closest to the river. Below them the ground fell away steeply across mown lawns and through a narrow strip of woodland towards the water. Looking through the huge picture window to her left, Zoe watched as a small yacht appeared, moving steadily upstream towards Woodbridge, the morning sunlight reflecting through the trees onto the gently curved sails. The mist had lifted as suddenly as, in the evening, it would probably return. It was moments like this which reassured her that they'd done the right thing in moving to the country. The view was utterly beautiful. It had all happened in such a rush. They'd been sitting late over dinner with some friends in London, just after Christmas, discussing their mutual plans for the summer. Both couples were childless, and Zoe sometimes wondered if that wasn't one of the main things that held them together.
"We're not having a holiday this year," John Danvers had announced.
He and Ken had been at school together some 25 years earlier, and there was still an edge of competitiveness between them, which their respective wives alternately ignored and gently mocked.
"We're moving out of town. Can't stand the pressure anymore. And anyway, why not? What's keeping us? With fast broadband, we can work from anywhere. We're going down to Sussex. Just think of it, Ken. Sailing every evening if we want to, no traffic jams, no rushing down at dawn on Saturdays and crawling back into town on Sunday evenings, just fresh air all the time."
Sussex. Chichester Harbour, where both couples kept their boats, moored near Bosham. Looking at Ken's face, Zoe had felt a sudden sick foreboding deep in her gut. Their base was London. She loved London. She adored their life there. She enjoyed her job. Although they'd often sailed together as a foursome, and Zoe did enjoy it on a relatively calm day when the others were there, sailing was not her thing.